welcome to my nightmare part 2. 4 more years.
Hello, everybody out there in liberal land. How is it going?
Yeah, if you're living in liberal land, apparently it's going pretty good for you because, like I just said, 4 more years. Well, in the meantime, you got LoBo and Doc coming at you from the Electric Harley House. Today we got a special guest. Welcome, please help us make welcome Mr. Diesel.
Hey guys, appreciate you having me.
Hey, we're glad. I wish we could say it was under better
Yeah,
circumstances.
no doubt, no doubt.
Okay.
True.
But we done our part.
We did. We
That's
did. We
the big-
voted.
We did do our part.
That's right.
Tennessee and Kentucky, where Diesel's from, we carried, but
Absolutely. Just too little too late.
we just couldn't deliver.
If you're not happy about the outcome and you didn't get out and vote, well, that's your damn problem because you got no right to complain. Hey,
We do. I voted. Did
yeah,
you vote?
I
know
did.
voted.
You better
No,
believe I'm
voted.
going to
Heck, no, you
complain
voted.
now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just going to jump right off into a rant here. If you'll indulge me. If not, hey, it's my show.
I'll indulge you. Go
Yeah,
for
good.
it.
All right. So I'm upset, as you can imagine.
No.
But the thing, I'm going to be honest with you here. The thing that upsets me is not the fact that we have this crook, okay, this shyster, for lack of a better term. I can't really call him a shyster because he's a disbarred lawyer, so he's not even really a crooked lawyer anymore. The quintessential politician, the speech maker extraordinaire, who is all symbolism and no substance, who is setting the working class back before the days when we got paid in company script, where basically we're just going to be a conduit for the money from our paycheck to go to our taxes, so we can support the rest of this great socialist state. The thing that upsets me the most is that people bought this. That this is what the majority of our country, the majority of our population in America, this is your idea of a president. And it really hurt me as I sat there last night and I realized I'm in the minority now. Okay, I guess it's fair enough. I mean, I've never been a member of a minority ethnic group or of a minority religious group, so I guess it's only fitting I get to feel what that does feel like now. But I realize that now people who have similar belief systems, similar life philosophy, similar worldview that I have are now in a minority in this country. Basically now, because of the way that our society has changed over the past 40 years or so, less than that really, but it's began, the beginnings of it were around 40 years ago, I think. We have changed our outlook on life. Now, the people who we're going to put in office are the ones who can promise us the most stuff, who can give us the most things. Instead of looking at our government as being made up of the people in a way to maintain civilization and forward our civilization as a whole, we now look at it as, what can you do for me? What can you get me? And the very thing that just riles me so much is this is the same party who their most favorite member up to now, his most famous statement was, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. They tossed that business out the window last night because now the whole point of it is, what are you going to give me? You're going to give me free phones. You're going to make easy citizenship for people who want to come here. You're going to increase my unemployment benefits. You're going to give me all these things. You're going to give me free health care. Ooh, I'm going to get all this stuff. There's no thought as to where this gets paid for because that's already taken care of because the working class is going to pay for every bit of this stuff. Every bit of it has to be paid for by someplace, by somebody, and you don't think that these people, these fat cats sitting up in Washington, are going to come out of it out of their pocket? Hell no, they're not. They're going to pay. They're going to pay for it with your dollar if you work, and that's becoming the increased increasingly becoming a minority in this country, and that is the working class. But now we're basically being set up to just be sheep to be sheared, so that we will go to work, and then our paycheck passes through our hands, and to go out so that we can keep up all these other folks who don't feel that they need to work, who feel that somehow they are entitled and they deserve the same kind of luxuries. And yes, a cell phone's a luxury. It is. That other people who do work for a living. It's touted. I read something on the internet the other day. One country was being over in Africa was quite proud of the fact that, our rich people ride the bus. That's nothing to be proud of, guys. That's not. That means that you've got some serious poverty going on here. We don't need our country to be like the rest of the world. I've said this before. The whole point that makes America so great is we're not like any other country, but you got these yahoos who are striving and doing everything they can to try to make us like the rest of the world. The rest of the world is going down in flames. Their economies are crashing. Socialism's on the rise. The standard of living is going down all over the world. And so, hey, this is the only country in the world where our leaders look and say, hey, I got to get me some of that.
Yeah, the biggest thing that bothers me about this is they were talking about this morning on the news that there was a bunch of people who decided to vote for Obama based on the fact of his response to Hurricane Sandy. Now, here's my problem with it. You get all this. You got all these issues that he's done. You've got the lies of Benghazi. You've got healthcare reform. You've got the whole government motors debacle. It's just like all this stuff.
And not to mention all the green cash, these companies he's invested in that are going belly up, all the stimulus money that just vanished into thin air.
And we're $6 trillion deeper in debt because of it. And you just push it all aside because he gave Chris Christie a freaking hug.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing about it is, too, I want to know what his response has been that's been so great. I know people up in Broad Channel and Rockaway, and they're saying, hey, we don't have power. We're not expecting to have power for another month. Okay? They're not, they've had literally Red Cross trucks drive through their neighborhood to get to the more affluent areas in Manhattan. And now, but the media says he's doing a bang-up job. If we want to rewind back 10 years to Katrina, this same type of response got Bush crucified in the media over Katrina, okay? They're not doing any much of a better job, but because he looks better on TV and because the media loves this guy. I actually heard Chris Matthews say last night on the air that he was thankful for Sandy. He said it's a good thing Sandy hit, because it gave us a better image of Obama.
That's their mentality.
Yeah, it's exactly. Never mind the 100+ death toll across the nation because of this. The billions of dollars, the damage to the economy in New York alone and New Jersey. And the fact that it's going to take years to get these people back together whose lives can be repaired.
But thank God Sandy came through.
Thank God it came through so this man could get reelected.
Obama won.
Yeah, absolutely. And these people and this is the people we look to. Okay, these are the people who are responsible to bring us news, who are responsible to tell us the facts. Instead, they're just giving us their own skewed opinion. This is ridiculous, people. Wake up. How many times can I say this? Okay. Another thing that kind of got me thinking last night, and this is something I've been guilty of. I will confess right here, right now, in front of everybody. One of my criteria I used to think of when I was voting for a president, and just recently I used this, I would say to myself, am I better off now than I was 4 years ago? And then I realized last night was, it's not the president's damn job to make my life better. We think that it is. Somehow we think it's his job to give us these, and that's the same time. I've heard this from both camps. Republicans say it, Democrats say it, independents say it. It's not the responsibility of the government to make you happy. You have the right as the Declaration of Independence stated, you have it's one of the unalienable rights endowed by your creator are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but nobody's guaranteeing anything, guys. If you want to be happy, you need to get out there, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, find a way to work for what you need.
Well, apparently today's pursuit of happiness is to sit on your ass and wait for the government to hand it to you.
Absolutely. Hey, I mean, it's just, and it's increasingly so.
So what's yeah, we got our special guest here. We kind of ignore him, but what's the economy like in Louisville, Diesel?
Just like a redheaded stepchild over here.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
It's honestly about the same way it is everywhere else. You know, we've got high gas prices. We've got people that's out of work. But you know, the more and more I see, it's more that the jobs are out there. It's just people don't want to work. Or when they get in the job, it's kind of like, I don't want this job. Well, tough luck. You know,
Absolutely.
Suck it up, beautiful. This will build character. You know, what you do is you go ahead and you take the job until you can find a better job or a job in your field. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I understand this.
But a job, I mean, work for a living. This is not a new concept, guys. This is literally what built this country. Another thing is, I want you to just compare the difference between, and I hate to say this, my generation, the people who were born late 60s through the 70s. Okay, that's the generation who's kind of coming up into things right now, who are pretty much if they're not running the country, getting ready to be running the country. I want you to just do a contrast between between that and the previous generation, okay, or actually the generation before that, what was called the Great Generation, the generation that, say, fought World War II and came up and helped industrialize this country and help build it into a superpower. Their whole idea, one of the things they work toward is, I want to make a better life for my children. I'm working so that my kids can have the things I never had.
Right.
But you can contrast that with my generation. Most of them are saying, well, my kids will pay the bill for this.
Yeah.
That's fine with them. As long as they get what they want right now, it doesn't make a damn to them that their grandkids are still going to be paying for this. You just look. And I guess what I'm really trying to say here with all this is, I don't think Obama is near so much the problem as he is the symptom. He is an opportunist, and that's basically reaping the benefits of a sickness that goes deep into our society. It's a sad, sad statement.
Yeah, and it's what's sad is it ain't just, you know, we see only the effects here in our states, you know, Tennessee, Kentucky for diesel, but what we're seeing is just a small part of it. I was out, I think last week, I was out in Arizona, and I was at a Walmart.
Hot enough for you out there?
It actually wasn't too bad this time of year. But anyway, I was out there, and I was in a Walmart, which is kind of like, to me, is just a welfare mart. And that's not, and I'm not saying anything bad against Walmart. It's just like, my gosh, you got an entire internet devoted to the people of Walmart. Yeah. Come on. But anyway, I'm standing in line, and I'm kid you not, I stood in line for a few items for 25 minutes. Because there was a woman in front of me that had, now granted, she had WIC and had all this other stuff, but she was purchasing this stuff. She had 2 cans of formula, and she had a voucher for 2 cans each. So went through all this rigmarole. Okay, for 25 minutes I stood there and watched her. And granted, I could have went to the other lane, but you know, I'm LoBo. I'm going to do that for a social experiment. I wanted to see if she would even acknowledge everybody else that's standing behind. You know, I had people behind me that were getting pissed off. He was like, "What's going on?" And she stood there and went through all this, taking her time, never made eye contact, never once apologized, because she felt she was entitled to it. You could tell. Absolutely. And that is the problem with our country, people. Come on. We kowtow to everything just so that the government will give you something. It's like, I don't want to be in that situation. It's like, I want to work. I want to provide for myself. I want to have nice things. I don't want the government to give to me. I'm sick of government.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely, I don't want the government to give me any kind of handout. And the bad thing about it, too, if you take a woman like in this, my friend here just described, God help if she actually gets a job to do, you know, some little small thing, then they're going to start cutting things off. Instead of giving her a bonus to help, you know, a way to help her get on her feet and say, hey, look, you're being self-sufficient now. We're going to help you till you're all completely self-sufficient. Oh, no, we're going to keep you down.
Yeah, and here's the problem with that. See, the way our welfare system works, we want to keep them on welfare because if you take welfare, I've done a study in 1992 over welfare, and in 1992, welfare was equals to making $10 an hour plus benefits
at that time.
At that time,
which was good money in '92.
And you think of it nowadays, why would somebody come off welfare at $10 an hour plus benefits? We're talking
I
dental,
imagine
vision,
the equivalent
and
now. It's closer probably to making the $15 to $16
it
now.
probably is.
Yeah.
So you
Coming
got
here, we're
that
20
plus
years
you
later.
got dental, medical, vision, all
Absolutely.
that. All right, plus childcare. Now you're coming into making, say, minimum wage at McDonald's somewhere or running a gas station. Well, you've just lost everything.
Absolutely.
For a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
You
you
know?
took a job to bring in less money and incur more debt.
Right, and our government's put us in that position.
Right. It's become where it's literally an addictive drug. You can't get off of it once you're on it. It's more addictive than meth or crack
Right,
ever
and
thought about
you
being.
You cannot just raise the minimum wage and get away with it, because if you raise the minimum wage in a bakery, okay, now it costs more to make the bread, so we've got to do something with that charge. So now we're going to do. We got to
number
raise
one-
so and so's salary,
Right.
So now we got to put it on the bread.
Well, we had 3 people we were paying to make the bread, but now we're going to raise minimum wage, so that means I can't afford to pay all 3 of those people. So somebody's got to go, leaving 2 people to make the bread, which means you got 2 people doing the work what used to take 3 people to do, and have the same type of quality standards to do it. But now, because I'm still having to pay for this, and because it's taking more time to make this bread things, I'm going to have to charge a higher amount. So not only am I having as the consumer, I'm having to pay more for the bread because it costs more to make, but also because now I have that third person who's not working there, who's now collecting unemployment rates or is on some sort of welfare that I'm having to pay an increased amount of taxes to go pay for that. So it doesn't help anybody.
No, at all.
And here's the other kicker. You've got Obamacare getting ready to come up in 2014.
Oh, yeah.
2014.
Well,
And see,
some of it's already started.
Well, I
and
know it
it's-
has. But when the mandate hits, I know of companies that have already said we are doing away with full-time positions.
Sure, absolutely, because they can't afford it.
Benefits are become a thing of the past.
Sure,
It's
absolutely.
like you have benefits right now, you're not going to have benefits for long.
Right.
Because, the one thing, we'd go out and look for a job, and he's like, hey, I have this certain skill set. I went to school, I've got this degree or whatever. Well, you look for a job, and you say, okay, you pay this much money, plus you have benefits. Screw benefits. They're gone, buddy.
Yep.
They are gone.
Yeah.
And you people out there, you voted for this. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to have companies that's not going to be able to provide you with health care. So you no longer enticing no matter what your skill set is. They don't want to hire you because they can't afford you.
That's exactly right. And a lot of insurance companies, a lot of employers are just going to look at the bottom line and say it costs, they're going to fine us X number of dollars if we don't provide health care, if we don't provide an insurance benefit, or we could pay twice as much as the fine to actually provide it. So the bottom line says just pay the fine and be done with it. Or they're going to look and say we are required by law to offer an insurance benefit, so they're going to get the most Now, a lot of them do this to an extent now, but they're going to get the most pared down thing that they can get by with to offer you. Okay, just the kind of like what people get minimum coverage car insurance, where you're going to get minimum coverage health care
Yeah,
insurance.
it
It's
basically
coming.
cover your common cold.
And see, some employers do that as it is now. But see, the thing about it is, when your benefits package is part of what you use to entice employees to get good people to come work for you, then it makes sense to have the best benefit package you can have, that you can afford. Obviously, you can't afford every extravagant in every income bracket, but you're going to do what you can, like I said, to make it a more attractive place for employees to work. But that's no longer, that's going to go the way of the dodo, people. There's not going to be any more of this. Plus the fact that because of all the unrest that this is going to cause, you're going to see more and more of a crackdown on your civil rights, because they don't want anybody bad-mouthing the government. Did you guys see that shot of that was posted on the internet of that ballot room, or the voting place where they had a big mural of Obama
Yes,
painted
I've
on the wall?
seen that.
Did
I
that
did
not
see
look
that.
like something out of China with Chairman
They
Mao
made
painted
them-
up on the wall?
yeah.
Our glorious leader here.
They made them cover it up. You know that, right?
Yeah, well, but after a few hours.
Yeah.
But the very thought that they would do that. I mean, I
Yeah.
can remember when I was in school, they would have a picture of the current president like hanging up on the wall or something. But that's it. Nothing, this big thing like, he's the new freaking Messiah. I mean,
Right.
what is he? I mean, guys, look, in the last 4 years, what has he done? Everything he's claimed is all smoke and mirrors. There's no substance to it. There's no clear increase. There's no clear improvement. Nothing that would demand this kind of worship that they're throwing on this guy.
Well, in his victory speech, he was saying, we've heard you. You've made me a better president because I've listened. Really?
Really? Well, then again, that's not a very long journey.
Well, yeah. But you know what's like, like right now, the only thing we can do is hope and pray that he actually does come through. But you know what? I have about as much faith as that happened as I did in this country actually voting for the right person. But
Exactly.
it's just I don't. I'm like you. I'm just really well. You were right. We are in the minority now. I mean, it's like any conservative thinking Christian person is now in the minority.
Right. And we've let this happen, guys. We
have let this happen. And it's like if the church would take more of a stand than it has, instead of just being tolerant and not hurting people's feelings. And that right there goes against everything God stands for. He's like, sin is sin, and we have to stand against that. But we don't. That's the problem. We just tolerate. We're like, it's okay. Everybody sins. It's all right. Come on in, do your thing. It's all right. It's like the church used to be a loud voice in this country. It's just a nagging, buzzing noise in the ear of the country.
Absolutely. And nobody wants to hear that my behavior might be wrong. What everybody wants to hear is, do whatever's fine with you. I mean, whatever you decide is right is fine.
Good, do it.
Hey, or to quote a famous Englishman from the 19th century, do what you will shall be the whole of the law. Who was that said that? Aleister Crowley, one of the most famous Satanists that ever lived, said that. Okay. And so, this is what we've come to. Or like if you want to get all biblical, at the beginning of the book of Judges, it says there was no king in Israel, and people did what was right in their own eyes. And it says the same thing at the end of the book, and it kind of sums up the whole attitude at that time. There was no king, and people did whatever they wanted.
I heard Mitt Romney, and when he was talking about him and Ryan, and this is one thing I didn't like that they said. He said, vote for us. We're the hope of the earth. You know what? I don't know who you are, pal, but the only hope of the earth is Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
But for now, it would be nice to have somebody who I felt was worth voting for. Kind of hoped it was Mitt, but oh well. 4 more, guys. 4 more years. We can see.
4 more years. Will we endure? I don't know.
Look in God's hands.
Look at the bright side.
Yeah.
Look at the bright side. In 4 more years, he will be gone permanently.
We'll see, unless he's cooked up something.
And then we'll have to deal with the damage.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, but what's going to be left? I mean, the only thing that's going to be left is the carcass of a once great nation, as you said earlier today.
That was a little comment I made earlier to LoBo offline was the next generation will be left with the carcass of a hollowed out carcass of a once great nation. Yeah, that's my quote.
Well, now then here's where America needs to stand up. As Americans, we've always been able to come together. We've always been able to fight our way out of tough situations. We fought our way out of the Depression. We fought our way out of 2 major world wars. All right, we fought against all this terrorist activity. Americans can fight, but they have to choose to fight. And it's the bottom line. Until we choose to fight and choose to go with what is right, all this stuff will continue. You have to get out and vote. And really, you really can't say you're a true American unless you do get out and vote. You're just somebody that sits idle.
Yep. Diesel, the voice of wisdom.
Absolutely. It's a quote day, so I'll throw another good quote in here. I heard this many years ago. This is, every politician out there is interested in voters. This isn't necessarily a good thing. Every flea is interested in dogs. I mean,
very true.
Yep.
So just because they happen to seem like they can sympathize with your situation. Well, just because a president's just like me don't necessarily mean I'm going to vote for him, because I really don't think I'd make that great of a president. I'll be honest with you. I want somebody who's cut out for the job, and that ain't somebody who is just like me. I want somebody who knows what they're doing there.
The problem with it ain't just the president. It's going to have to be the president and the House and the Congress. It's going to take more. It's going to take more change in those areas than just one man.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. He keeps talking this change. It's time for change. This change has happened, guys. The change is here. We need to kind of get a grip on what's going on here, because we're going to. I mean, either that or just get comfortable, because these hand baskets don't seat real well on the way to hell. But I mean, anyway, all right.
Yeah, they're pretty small.
And I think we've kind of made our point today, and you will have plenty other things left to say on our next episode. And we appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to us rant,
and probably May even see Diesel in the next episode. We'll see.
Never know.
You never know.
All right. Until then,
Keep your pipes loud.
keep your hands free.